On the heels of one of the largest manhunts in Central Florida's history, a West 2 News investigation reveals dozens of private schools and daycare centers were left in the dark.
Markeith Lloyd was captured and is now facing charges in the death of an Orlando police officer and his pregnant ex-girlfriend. Orlando Police Lieutenant Deborah Clayton was gunned down, and Orange County Sheriff's Deputy Norman Lewis was killed in a crash during the search.
Tonight, West 2's Greg Fox finds out why only public schools were officially warned to lock down during the manhunt for this dangerous armed fugitive, and any possible changes ahead for student safety.
As heavily armed SWAT teams swarmed into neighborhoods January 9th, public schools were locked down, 26 of them. But West 2 News research reveals there are 37 private schools and daycare centers near those same public schools that were not notified by law enforcement. That's the back of the apartment complex where most of the search for Markeith Lloyd was focused on January 9th. And here, right at the back of it, is the Hands-On Learning Academy, a private school and daycare. Students and teachers were frightened to see, as you can in the school's surveillance video, police rushing in. But not one call from police to lock down the school.
We do have students here. There are children here. Their safety counts too. When we weren't notified, I don't feel like we were accounted for.
He killed an officer. Like, that's crazy.
Genevieve Soto's daughter goes here, and she teaches at another daycare. Neither was given a call to lock down.
Just as like the elementaries and high schools are protected, why can't our daycares be like that?
That they should notify private schools as well.
Linda Copeland is the principal at Kingsway Christian Academy and Sheriff's Office jurisdiction, where students were just blocks from where Lloyd allegedly shot at a deputy. Again, no call from the Sheriff's Office to lock down.
All of our parents pay taxes, and they should have that privilege of being notified and keeping our children as safe as we possibly can.
Do they have a legitimate concern?
They do, but there is no particular policy regarding that.
Police and the sheriff have policies to lock down or notify public schools, but not private ones. Both say they rely on local news, Twitter, and Facebook to inform the public. But private daycare and school managers tell us they're too busy with kids to scan social media. OPD also urges people to download the free phone app Code Red. It sends phone alerts when there are emergencies near you, but police admit the last time they used it was last July, not during the Lloyd search.
We did not activate the system that day, but from every significant event, we have an opportunity to revise how we do business. We appreciate the fact that you brought this to our attention.
1746.
The Sheriff's Office is considering options like reverse 911 calls to warn private schools and daycares in the future.
There's a number of tools available. We all have to be responsible as well to try and make that safety our #1 priority for our entire community.
In Orange County, Greg Fox, West 2 News.
While the Sheriff's Office and Orlando Police develop new lockdown policies, they strongly advise private schools and daycares to develop action plans for monitoring emergencies and conducting drills with students to show them where to go and what to do during those emergencies. He's regarded as one of the most powerful local politicians, with a name often floated as a future candidate for governor. The Pulse nightclub massacre made him a household name across the nation. But as West 2 News political reporter Greg Fox explains, next week Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer will make history just by showing up for work.
I coached my son's flag football team right out of the box.
And that's what Buddy Dyer was doing when his political life changed forever. The former state senator had just lost the attorney general race to Charlie Crist in 2002, when then Mayor Glenda Hood was appointed Secretary of State. Dyer won a special election and was sworn in to lead the region's largest city.
I don't consider this a job. I consider it a privilege to be able to do what I do every day.
13 years and 6 months later, he's done more ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings than he can count. But here's the big number. 4,988, his record-setting number of days in office on December 2nd as Orlando's longest-serving mayor, passing the mark set by Carl Langford. From day one, he says his priority has been forging relationships with business and government.
We've created this culture where people are willing to work together and not against each other,
Mayor Dyer says that culture made it possible for the city to come together with Orange County and come to an agreement to build sports and entertainment venues, among them the Dr. Phillips Center for the Performing Arts. Buddy the Builder and his new strong relationships with the county steered $1 billion into a new Magic Arena, an overhauled Citrus Bowl, and the Performing Arts Center. He landed a pro soccer team with a new stadium and put Sunrail on track, and there's no tapping the brakes.
We got so many things. The second phase of Sunrail, the third phase of Sunrail, getting it to the airport, finishing the South Terminal.
Dyer's plans have not come without controversy. Tearing down historic Tinkerfield Stadium to make room for the bowl and flattening downtown buildings to make way for the plaza, offices, stores, and condos had historic preservationists crying foul. But he makes no apologies.
The plaza happening downtown was probably a catalyst for making everybody understand there was political will to make this a vibrant, great downtown.
When I asked him to share his highest and lowest moments, he said both stem from the Pulse nightclub shootings.
So the low point would be that Pulse actually occurred, that the gunman came there and did what he did. The high point would be how our community responded. So they responded with love and compassion and unities.
Dyer's future is focused on more affordable housing, business, and kids programs in historically low-income Paramore. And right now he says he's not exactly sure when he'll call it quits.
I don't know why I wouldn't run for another term, and we always come up with more stuff to do.
In Orlando, Greg Fox, West 2 News.
West 2 News investigates a controversial, one-of-a-kind Florida program which trains teachers and school staff to carry guns on campus. They'll be deputies armed and ready to respond to deadly threats. But some say the sheriff is trying to rewrite state law. West 2 political reporter Greg Fox gives us an exclusive look at the training and the debate.
5 rounds on the left target. Shooters, stand by. Fire!
You're looking at the first line of defense against an active shooter, but these are school teachers and staff. And Chris Owen is a school vice president at Southeastern University, a Christian college in Lakeland. After seeing news coverage of mass shootings like the one that left 49 dead and dozens injured at the Pulse nightclub a year ago, leaders at Southeastern ask themselves,
Have we done everything we can to ensure to a parent and a student that their safety is our highest priority? So our concern was the lack of readiness, and the sheriff brought a positive solution to the table.
That solution was arming and training university employees to be special deputies, but they will only have authority to respond to potentially deadly threats.
This is narrowly tailored and a narrow function, clearly to stop the most egregious, heinous events that could occur to the students.
The sheriff says the 132 hours of training is more than he demands of cadets. The next phase of training, after they get used to using their firearms on the range, is use of force training. In this situation, it's decision making through a simulation, and in this case, it is active shooter training.
You respond to an active shooter at a school, you be part of a column, respond accordingly.
These trainees will soon graduate, just weeks after lawmakers declined to pass bills that would have allowed civilians to carry guns on campus. Some say Sheriff Judd's public safety experiment is illegal.
He's trying to exploit a loophole that doesn't actually exist.
Democratic Orlando lawmaker Carlos Smith points out these school workers won't be paid officers who are working daily, training constantly to make life and death decisions.
If they're not on the payroll, regardless of whether they are wearing a name tag that says that they have a special role or not, they are not law enforcement and they're not authorized to carry a firearm on school grounds.
They are special deputy sheriffs.
Under Florida law, sheriffs may appoint deputies to act under them who shall have the same power as the sheriff appointing them. Rachel and Jordan Jacob are students at Southeastern and welcome the added protection. They recall the Florida State University shootings in 2014 when 3 students were shot before the gunman was killed by police.
That could have been prevented or even stopped a lot quicker.
We're safe, and I don't have to worry about anything bad happening at our school.
For now, Southeastern University stands alone, standing guard over its own campus. In Polk County, Greg Fox, West 2 News.
The controversy over a statue honoring Confederate soldiers at Lake Eola has moved to a new battlefront.
Tonight, West 2's Greg Fox takes us inside the historic cemetery where the city aims to move Johnny Reb.
The marker reads, "Our Confederate Dead." This is a section of the historic Orlando Greenwood Cemetery in which some of the soldiers from the Civil War and their families are buried. On Daniel O'Rourke's gravestone, a gallant Confederate soldier. William M. Carter was a captain, and William Warren Barber served alongside his younger brother, Andrew Jackson Barber. Both survived the war and were alive when this statue was built in Orlando in 1911. Some say Johnny Reb is a symbol that is historic.
The Civil War happened.
Others, a symbol of racism.
White supremacy.
Both sides squared off before and during Monday's city council meeting when Mayor Buddy Dyer announced the statue will no longer stand watch over Lake Eola Park, just across from the rainbow-splashed amphitheater that recognizes equality in the wake of the Pulse nightclub shooting. Instead, it will move to Greenwood.
And to have it there along with other Confederate graves and that kind of thing makes it even more important to Orlando, because now you're still treating it as a part of your history.
But Diane Chenault Park was in tears as we talked about moving the statue to a spot where she doubts most will ever see it or understand the history behind it.
Sorry, it just is an upsetting subject to me, and I just don't think that they should move the statue.
For now, the statue of Johnny Reb will stay right here at Lake Eola while the city determines how much it will cost and in what time frame they can move it to the cemetery. In Orlando, Greg Fox, West 2 News.
Right now, the state of Florida is providing applications for patients and caregivers to legally be able to handle medical marijuana.
Already, 5,600 people are in the state's medical marijuana registry, triple the number prior to voters passing Amendment 2. But a Western News investigation reveals plenty of unanswered questions about how and when full-strength cannabis will be widely available and affordable. West News' Greg Fox shows us it's leaving patients desperate and angry.
I may die, and my blood will be on your hands.
I've asked that question. I have asked that question.
If we open it up for questions, we'll be...
Every one of the people in this standing room only meeting this month had questions.
This is not a Q&A.
But the head of the State Health Department's Office of Compassionate Use offered few answers as they hash out rules for medical marijuana.
It's killing me, basically.
Tom Sampson is hooked on pain meds, unable to eat, and wonders if he'll live to get the cannabis voters demanded.
I'm 135 pounds and I'm almost 6'1". I don't know what else to say. I'm wasting away.
That brings us to the number one concern about the state's medical marijuana program. Just 7 companies are licensed to grow and sell it for a projected 500,000 annual patients. That includes local companies like Knox Nursery in Winter Garden and Grow Healthy in Lake Wales.
There's a number of people here that really need this medicine.
They claim they can produce enough.
Just the 187,000 square feet building, we should be able to achieve approximately 250 pounds of medicine a day.
But so far, it's not enough medicine to tackle concern number 2, cost. Marijuana oils, lotions, and vaporizers are selling for between $30 and $300 for a 1 to 2 month supply.
There is a monopoly.
Dr. Joseph Rosato is certified to order cannabis for patients. But for some, the cost will remain out of reach until the state lets more companies compete to grow and dispense to drive down prices.
We're going to need a lot more than just 7.
Until that happens, are patients not going to be able to get what they need at a cost they can afford?
Unfortunately, that's true.
But what about health insurance? Will that cover medical marijuana? No. A spokeswoman for Florida Blue tells West 2 News, quote, because the state and federal government continue to classify marijuana as a controlled substance, Florida Blue does not cover medical marijuana.
This generation is.
Concern number 3.
Let the doctors do their jobs.
But they can't, not right away. Patients are required to see a cannabis-certified physician for 90 days before they can buy medical marijuana, despite the fact that addictive painkillers can be prescribed on the spot.
Medical marijuana does not get you hooked, opiates do.
Lawmakers and the health department will finalize rules for this new medicine by summer. Greg Fox, West 2 News.